Salutations, utopians. Hope all is well in your world. It was a jam packed schedule yesterday for the association. I believe it was 10 games. Uh, the playoff bracket is starting to come together, and the most the greatest surprise to me is that the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Los Angeles Lakers will face off in the first round. The idea that we're either going to have no Luka and LeBron or no Anthony Edwards after the first round is very crazy to me. Um, but with that being said, I actually made this video today because of a team that's not going to be in the playoffs, and that is the New Orleans Pelicans. Today they announced the termination of David Griffin, and I'm in utter shock because I feel like sometimes you have to know where you are in the ecosystem. And you, as the New Orleans Pelicans, first of all, do not have a rich history in the first place of a winning culture, even though they've had some glory years. I do remember the Chris Paul, Mo Pete, Peja Stojakovic era, David West, Tyson Chandler. But for the most part, New Orleans hasn't been a stable figure in the basketball community and in terms of prestigious franchise. They're always on the outside looking in. So when I catch wind that per Shams this morning on his page, they got rid of David Griffin, I'm thinking to myself, first of all, the negotiations with Dell Demps and Anthony Davis's agent when he used to be a Pelican was going horrendous. They brought in a stable force and David Griffin, formerly the GM of the Cleveland Cavaliers that managed LeBron James's career, and they ended up being able to hash out a deal. And with the draft pick they got from the Lakers, were able to get Zion, who I still believe is the second coming of LeBron. Now, obviously, there's been some injury issues and a lot of different things that have plagued his career, but for the most part, everything is still intact. When he's on the court, things are magical, things are special, and he's certainly box office. Um, and the video and my conclusion is going to be back to Zion, but I want to go through some things. I there's one thing, like I said, about GMs like a Brad Stevens who goes out and has the ability to spend more than everyone else. But then there's small franchises who have GMs who really have to GM. And Dave Griffin being terminated when really he should be celebrated, considering the magical work he has to do to try to make a team, and finding a Herb Jones who made it to second team all defense as a 35th pick, finding Trey Murphy at 17, finding a Jose Alvarado undrafted. These are all three cornerstone pieces that you can build your team around, and every team should have. And for him to go get those guys where he found them, not to mention getting Willie Green, who's not highly heralded at the moment when he was picked up. No one really knew of him. Again, another out of the box, had to think, let me figure out where I can find. Willie Green was is a legend at Detroit Mercy, but in the NBA he was just a solid journeyman two guard, multi-position defender, physical, could score a little bit. Um, was a better scorer in college, obviously, but you know the roles and everything changes when you get. It's gotta be, but um, it's just preposterous to me that, like, again, we got this like loose hammer, like guys are, you know, I don't understand it. And the only thing I can think of is that this was about Zion. They're having conflict on what to do about Zion. Should they trade him? Should they keep him? If in fact they don't keep him, I think, I had the Wolves went going to the finals, but I didn't know that Luka was going to be a Laker. And even though on paper the Wolves are a better team on front line help wise, they got way more depth to throw at the Lakers. Nas Reed, Julius Randle, they can be offset by Vando and Dorian Finney-Smith. It is a little bit thin at the center spot with Jackson Hayes, but Rudy Gobert is not enough of a scoring threat to where it's going to be glaring. You can throw a physical body out there like Trey Jameson just to get the job done, but I'm probably gonna have to move off my take of the Wolves going to the finals just for the simple fact that I just can't imagine Luka and LeBron are going home in the first round. That would be crazy. And you're looking at it, and it's like if in fact Minnesota goes home, knowing the radical that Tim Connolly is, you could easily see them working a deal in some way, shape, or fashion where Randall returns or Nas Reed returns to New Orleans. Finch, mind you, has been the head coach, was on the bench in New Orleans, and they get Zion to take it to another level uh, for his career. But I think there's some type of eternal battle where the Pelicans believe they can, David Griffin probably thought, hey, no, we got enough to go win a championship. We just got to stay healthy. And the Pelicans are like, it's time to blow it up. And if that's the case, that's unfortunate and that's very tragic. Not moving off of C.J. McCollum probably was another problem, even though his contract is just impossible to move with this new climate in terms of the CBA. But there has to be some type of philosophical difference because he is the poster child for what a great GM is supposed to be, and knowing the trend of the NBA, Chris Finch could probably mess around and get fired in Game 2 against the Lakers at the rate the way things are going. But this feels like there had to been something about, this had to be something about Zion. You know what I mean, and what they should do in the off season because the man did everything you could ask for with what he was been given. After all, you are the Pelicans, so we'll see how this plays out, but I just wanted to, get that out there. I definitely don't think this was a warranted firing. He did exactly what you want from a GM. His work is really made from the soil, and to get this type of chop, it's right on par with what we're seeing Mike Brown, Mike Malone, coaches getting terminated without even Taylor Jenkins. But like, I don't think it was deserved or warranted. Maybe the culture got a little toxic upstairs also. All right, Utopians, I'll try to do better next time. Global, out.